Did you know that Canada has bags of milk? Did you also know it has a VTuber convention? Surprise! I went to OshiUplink, Canada's first ever VTuber convention. Let me just say I was really happy to start seeing cons in, well, not California. Unlike my mother, I'm not worried about it falling into the ocean, but it's just a long way from where I am. As someone who streams based in the Eastern time zone, it's nice and way more affordable to reach cons on the east side of the North America. As far as price goes though, this was a bit of a last minute decision for me to even go, so getting there and the hotel, it was a smidge more than I would have liked, but that's just because I did last minute fees. Certainly not the $2,000 minimum it would have taken me to just get to Cali, that's for sure. But before I even decided to go, I was a smidge skeptical. I've been to first year cons before and it's gone a few different ways. The first is there's not much to do and it's just boring. Those ones are the ones that I've left early. The next is just chaos due to overpromotion and poor planning. They can be fun, but you will be catching the con crud. And the mythical third option? It works. Yeah. It's a normal but a small con, and it works. However, since it was so close and because I wanted to support some of the organizers that happen to be friends of mine, I just figured, why the heck not? So I packed my bag and off I went. Side note, that's the really good thing about close and small cons. You can just decide week of to go. You don't really get to do that often. The convention was hosted at the Sheraton Toronto Airport Hotel and Conference Center, and as the name suggests, it was a hotel, convention center, and practically across the road from the airport. I had made the choice to get there day of. Yeah, it was a choice for sure, but it wasn't 12 hours of travel. Again, mind-blowing for this East Coast dweller. I ended up at the hotel only just after the con had opened on the Saturday. The line was inside and not too long, but what surprised me was, unlike that one time I went to WeebCon, it was inside the venue. Due to the layout of the building, once you entered, you were just in the con. Or, well, you weren't in the vendor or artist alley area, but any normie going to the hotel would have been face-to-face with a giant VGen ball. This threw me for a bit of a loop. See, in every convention I've attended, there's been metal detectors or guards checking bags at the gate. Is this just an American thing because of the, nerfs or nothings? I don't know, it was weird to me, but I guess I don't go through security in a normal hotel. Plus, all event rooms or con-specific areas had like 2 staff outside, so shrug. Moving on. Like I said, the line was incredibly short, and it moved at a decent pace. Once I picked up my badge, they had some ribbon freebies. Not to brag, but I became an honorary Canadian. The map. Like I said, there were many entrances, but the check-in entrance was here, with the exhibitor halls on the upside and panel rooms and main hotel area down. All in all, it took not even a minute or two to make it from point A to point B. But before you think, oh, was it that tiny? It must have been too small for... No. I don't know how the organizers did it, but it was compact and not in a super sketchy way. It was small, but there was a lot to do. Trust. For starters, the entry area. You know the Las Vegas Sphere? Well, at the Sheraton Toronto, we have the VGen ball. It was pretty big and super cool decoration. However, as a VTuber taking pictures of this thing without being caught in the reflection, that was near impossible. So, you either get this slightly blurred edit over, or this one that's obscured by a random person I used as a reflection hiding a meat shield. Those are your options. Make a matte version. Dear VGen, about your balls. Other than the ball and check-in, there were a bunch of standees in this area too. These were later raffled off, but were nice to see as you walk through the con floor. At this point in time, it's important to mention that I wasn't first in, but it was within the first hour of the con's opening. This is where I do have only one critique. The exhibitor area was a little too packed. Yes, this convention was small, so this is to be expected, but it's kind of a nothing burger of a critique. It wasn't overwhelmingly packed for the whole duration, just in the early hours of Saturday. I think it was probably a OMG con open, gotta go see vendors sort of mob mentality. I actually didn't take any photos or videos of the hall when it was like this, mainly because I would have had to lift my phone up above my head like a weird phone giraffe, and I'm only 5'3", so yeah. That wasn't gonna work. But hey, let's talk vendors. Now, I always make sure to bring some cash to a con. Some vendors give discounts on account of not having to pay the card fees. However, Canadian money is fake and felt like I was playing Monopoly with every transaction. I'm definitely just one of those peoples that could spend the whole con walking around artists and looking at their wares, much to the please, of my wallet. At OshiUplink, there was a ton of variety. Sure, I saw my fill of Made Mint and Doki Bird, but there were plenty of other indie VTubers and merch goods. Big props to the OshiUplink team because we were spoiled for a selection. Pillows, charms, prints, plushy keychains, lanyards, and so much more. Even some cosplayers got a booth spot. And that was just on the artist side of the exhibitor hall. The second side was for a few companies too. The big VGen booth was my personal highlight. They had some fake grass to walk on, customizable VTuber models for anyone to just try out, and an ongoing deal for the weekend to turn your con pic into a photo art piece done within the weekend. OshiUplink also had their own merch table on the side, and I ended up grabbing a themed light stick since I've always wanted one. Oh, and VTuber Research Club was there too. You know, the one that I talked about who brought me to TwitchCon on a mech? So, of course, they had some VTubers doing meet and greets and zooming on robots around the con. At this point, it was midday Saturday, and I started to get a bit hungry. Luckily, the hotel side of the con had a little bistro set up for grab-and-go lunches and snacks. But here is my second criticism, which isn't even the con's fault, just the hotel. When I got the onigiri, I was expecting this. Or this. You know, a whole rice ball. Instead, I got this. Now, they didn't taste bad, but they were incredibly small for the price and not what I expected of an onigiri. I think I ended up getting some extra chips or something on the side as a snack. But after the refresher, it was off for some panels. A note on panels. They were running all weekend and there was always something to do. My first panel was with Irium. I'd heard about this app and wanted to learn more. It was like a VTuber-only streaming app, which was interesting. However, after that was a panel I was so hyped for, the cosplay contest hosted by my lovely friend Podge. I thought it was super fun. It would have been nice to see Morphos dressed up, of course, but for a first-year con, the panel was a blast. People were cheering, having fun with it, something you just love to be a part of on Vibes alone. Once that wrapped up, I managed to sneak my way to the front to meet Podge and Geddon. I'm not used to meeting internet friends in person, not a fan of piloting my own flesh mech, but it made me super happy I got to talk to them. Speaking of talking, I did manage to sign up for a meet and greet spot with Promisu En. So let's talk meet and greets. Impeccable setup. Yes, you had to pre-register, but I heard some had availability up to the day of too. Just depend on the talents. But once you got in, perfect. Each talent had their own curtained off room. There was a full PC, mic, and TV setup with headphones. I had no problem hearing or talking to the girls, and it was all around a great time. 10 out of 10 on the meet and greet rooms. I also wanted to make a note, one of the amazing vendors, Oyasuri at Table A71 or Aqua.Suri on Instagram, I was able to commission this beautiful watercolor piece from them. The rest of the day Saturday, I putzed around the con, buying things and people watching until dinner. I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, being in a whole different country, so I just googled Canadian food places when this place called Harvey's popped up. It served burgers, but specifically what I was after, poutine. So I grabbed some fried pickle poutine. It was really good, but man, it sat in my stomach like a brick. Then it was back to the con / my hotel room. I was happy at this time to have picked the hotel that was also the con venue because I was able to chill in my hotel room until the small child worth of poutine settled in my stomach. During the day, I had also run into another friend of mine, Camilla Bombette. I chatted for a bit with her, Geddon, and Podge, and they recommended I check out the Industry Mixer. This was an invite only, and I hadn't registered beforehand, so I am super thankful I was able to squeeze in on recommendation. This ran till way later, and while I won't discuss too much since it was a private event, I did get to meet Siri and a friend of mine, Tara. I had no idea Tara was going to be there, so it was such a great surprise to see her. After that mixer though, I was out like a light in my hotel room. On to day 2! The hotel was very nice, and despite the fact that my room was like right next to the elevator, I slept well with no interruptions. But it was time for breakfast, and there was no way in heck I was gonna pass up on getting the OG from its homeland, Tim Hortons. And let me tell you, going to a Canadian Tim Hortons just showed me that the US franchises are the unloved child of the Timmy's family. They have so much more things than in the States. I got this packed breakfast Sammy and a coffee before heading back. First up was a panel about how to use your voice in VTubing. Very informative audio tips. After that, I went to, I can explain. Yes, I went to a panel on feet, but I went to the panel about feet and was the only person in the room to correctly guess Squimbo's grippers. So yeah. After that, I had some more time to kill, so I did some more shopping in the exhibitor hall before it was time to go to another panel. This one was an 18+ panel about roleplay with Promisu Yen. As a fellow RP creator, it was actually a really neat panel. They talked about improv, platforms, and scripting. Very interesting. All in all, solid panel. And the last panel I attended was How to Become a Corporate VTuber by Stellarverse Productions Yui and Tokaku. I hadn't heard of Stellarverse Productions before this con, but they also had a booth with standees in the vendor side of the hall. This panel was nicely done. It touched on some red flag, how to audition, and it was right what it said on the tin. Everything you need to know. But with that, it was time for me to head home. However, I did need to explain to the border guard that I was bringing back merch, so OMG, merch haul time! This time I can yap to chat about it and not the very confused security agent. Ta-da! Okay, let's go piece by piece. First up, the light sticks. As I mentioned, I did get the OshiUplink mascot, but right next to the con was the neon shrine, and they had so many options. I went simple with just the one that said Oshi, but I could have gotten bows, specific VTuber themes, and lots more. Next, my stash of Podkin merch. Big ups to Podge for working so hard as a con organizer to pull this whole thing together. Then, there was a Grem, some stickers of my big 3 Oshis, and speaking of Oshi, a lot of Ina merch. Checky holder, keychains, standees, pins. Honestly, I got quite a haul for Ina. Some of the Ina merch also got me this freebie Mint Doki fan and a sticker. Speaking of freebies, for the VGen table, I got a sticker and then a magnet coaster thingy of one of the customizable models. And of course, I couldn't pass up on this holy grail of Canada, a poutine pin. And there you have it, my time at OshiUplink in Toronto, Canada. All in all, I would give this con like a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a first-year con, and that can really make or break events. It was small, but I'm kind of glad that it was. It didn't try to overextend itself, but it also had the right amount of events, guests, and vendors for the space that it had got. I think with the success of year 1, it can do so much more fun things in the future. Well, thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out my other content for more. Okay, bye!